Ceres was the first to split open the grassland with a plowshare, the first to plant corn and nurse harvests. She was the first to give man laws. Everything man has, he owes to Ceres. So now I sing of her, and so I pray my song may be worthy of this great goddess, for surely she is worthy of the song. The great giant Typhon, the upstart who dared to hope for a home in heaven. Flat on his back, he vomited ashes, flame, lava, sulfur. His convulsions shrugged off cities, quaked mountains to rubble. The whole of Sicily trembled. The Lord of Hell was aghast to see bedrock heaving in waves like ocean. He looked upward from the earth's crust to come caving in, letting the sun glare into hell's glooms, dazzling the specters. Anxious, in a black chariot behind black horses, the king of terrors thundered up to reconnoiter the roof of his kingdom. He scrutinized the island's convulsions, double-checked every crevice, crack, fault for a sign of shift, probed every weak point with his scepter, tapping rocks and analyzing echoes. Everything seemed to be sound, and he began to feel better. It was then Aphrodite, sitting on her mountain, noticed him. She woke her winged boy, embraced him, kissed him. "My child," she whispered, "you who are all my power, you who are my arms, my hands, my magic, bend your bow, my darling, and sink your shaft, which never missed a challenge, into the heart of that god who rules hell. The deities of the upper world are yours, wherever you choose. Even great Jupiter, like a helpless figment of your fancy. Whatever folly you plot, he will perform it. The gods of the sea, no less, dance to your prompting arrows, your spurs, your goads, your tickling barbs. That great earth-shaker Neptune is no more than your trophy. Over all these your rule is hardly questioned. It is time to expand our empire, my child, into that third realm, the underworld. A third of creation there for the taking. Heaven marks our forbearance and exploits it. Your power is less than it was, and mine too. I have lost Pallas, and the great huntress Diana both gone. And now Ceres' daughter Proserpina wants to stay a virgin. Do we permit it? Now is your opportunity. If you have any pride in our dominion, fasten that goddess and her grim uncle together with one bolt. Even as he listened to his mother, Cupid's fingers found the very arrow for the job. 1 in 1,000, true as a ray of the sun tipped with a photon. He set the soles of his feet to the belly of the arrow, and hauling the fletched notch to his chin dimple, buried it deep in the heart of the dark Pluto. Near Enna's walls is a deep lake known as Pergusa. The swans on that surface make a music magical as the songs on the swift currents of Cayster. Trees encircling it knit their boughs to protect it from the sun's flame. Their leaves nurse a glade of cool shade where it is always spring, with spring's flowers. Proserpina was playing in that glade with her companions. Brilliant as butterflies, they flitted hither and thither excitedly among lilies and violets. She was heaping the fold of her dress with the flowers, hurrying to pick more, to gather most, piling more than any of her friends into baskets. There, the Lord of Hell suddenly saw her. In the sweep of a single glance, he fell in love and snatched her away. Love pauses for nothing. Terrified, she screamed for her mother, and screamed to her friends, but louder and again to her mother. She ripped her frock from her throat downwards, so all her cherished flowers scattered in a shower. Then, in her childishness, she screamed for her flowers as they fell, while her ravisher leaped with her into his chariot, shouting to the horses, each one by name, whipping their necks with the reins like the start of a race, and they were off, and they were gone, leaving the ripped turf and the shocked faces. Over the deep lakes they went, and through the river and on to the grandmother's house, and over the fumarills of the palace, where the reeking pools boil sulfur, past the walled stronghold of the Bachae, who came from Corinth and built their city between a large and a small harbor. Near Cyan and Pisaean Arethusa, jagged headlands clasp a narrow cove named after Cyan, who lives there. Among all Sicily's nymphs, the most famous, Cyan reared from the water to her waist, and recognized Proserpina. "You have gone too far, Pluto," she cried. "You cannot be son-in-law to Ceres if she does not want you. You should not have kidnapped this child, but asked for her hand according to custom. The comparison is remote, but I was loved by Anapus. He did not carry me off in a violent passion. He never alarmed me. He was gentle, and after courtship of prayers, I was willingly won." Cyan stretched her arms as she spoke to block the path of the horses. Then the son of Saturn, in a fury, plunged his royal scepter down through the bed of her pool and called to his savage horses. And the bottom of the pool was split wide open, and they dived, horses, chariot, Pluto and his prize, straight into hell. Cyan bewailed the rape of the goddess and the violation of her fountain. She wept over these wrongs in secret, as if her heart were weeping its blood. Nothing could comfort her. Gradually her sorrow melted into the very waters which she had been the goddess. Her limbs thinned, her bones became pliant, her nails softened. Swiftly she vanished into flowing water. First her slighter parts, her hair, her fingers, feet, legs, then her shoulders, her back, her breasts, her sides, and at last, no longer blood, but clear, simple water flowed through her veins, and her whole body became clear, simple water. Nothing remained to hold or kiss but a twisting current of water. In despair, Ceres ransacked the earth. No dawn sodden with dew ever found her resting. The evening star never found her weary. She had torn up 2 pine trees, kindled both in Etna, and holding them high through the long nights, lit her path of glittering frost. When the sun rose to console her, melting the stars, she strode on, from rising to setting, seeking her daughter. But fatigue, and worse than fatigue, thirst, finally overtook her. She had become an owl, a sleepy owl, hated by men. The bird with a screech you'd think a corpse might make if a corpse could float up from the underworld with bad news for you and yours. The goddess who shares both kingdoms divides her year between her husband in hell among specters and her mother on earth among flowers. Her nature too is divided. One moment gloomy as hell's king, but the next bright as the sun's mass, bursting from the clouds. And then Jupiter raised his wand. "Expecto Patronus," he cried. Ba-bum-bum, ba-dum-bum.